This is a football podcast, man. Meat, football, good. Man, we talk football. We eat burgers.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Scramble Drill, this fantasy football show where Ben and I talk about our mental health struggles when it comes to fantasy football, and then we send it out in public. This week, Ben finally...
Make fun of us. Finally.
Ben, well, okay.
I didn't bail on purpose last time.
No. Ben had to take a week and sit on the bench while his microphone situation was getting itself sorted out. He's back now. He's got the new mic. He should sound crispy, smooth, and wonderful.
I hope it is beautiful because let's put it this way: for the money I paid, y'all better be enjoying this. But this is Josh's wheelhouse for sure. I am not a tech guy. So I kind of completely pass it up. I'm like, hey, here's the budget. Pick me out something good. So this is all his build and setup. But yeah, I'm excited.
Should be a lot of fun. We have a really fun episode today. We're doing our first rookie mock draft.
Yes.
We're talking combine.
Yes.
There's a lot to get into.
Yes.
There's a bunch of storylines.
Free agency is happening and not happening right now. We're in that weird limbo right now. This is the calm before the storm.
Right. Are we officially in the tampering period yet? Because that's the real free agency.
I think so. I know. Obviously, in our news section, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's happened, and so we'll go ahead and say the Broncos already said they're cutting Russell Wilson, and when the new year starts. But in the article when it came out, they said Russell Wilson will be released by the Broncos on March 13th, blah, blah, blah. He is now free to talk with prospective teams. So I feel like that means the tampering period is open. If he can talk with them right now, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's really like I was listening to somebody today talk about free agency, and they were saying that the tampering period.
Josh.
Do what?
Give credit to who you were listening to.
There's so many. I mean, it could have been Rich Eisen. It could have been Cowherd. It could have been Daniel Jeremiah. There's literally no telling. It was probably Schefter. I have absolutely no clue. Could have been anybody. But they were just saying it was probably Schefter, I think, now I think about it. He was saying that the tampering period is really the free agency period, and then free agency is just when everybody finds out about it. But that everything is already done a week beforehand, and then in free agency, that's when the news breaks.
Yep, we're recording this on March 4th. The official league new year happens on the 13th, but also I think things can become official or be announced March 10th. So it's kind of a weird dynamic, but
interesting. Well, there's some news to get into. There's some combine news to get into. And then we've got a 3-round rookie mock draft. The first mock draft of the season. I'm very curious.
First of many. We're going to do a lot. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we're going to do several. I think more than anything, and I know we'll get into it when we actually do the mock draft, but I'm just curious to see how you value different players against one another, and then honestly how I value different players against one another, because I haven't had to make these decisions of being on the clock and saying, okay, do I like this player or this player? Haven't had to do that yet. So this will be a fun exercise just to see how all these guys stack up and what we're going to end up doing with them. But before we do all that, we do have some news. The first thing here, I think the first true piece of NFL news is Mike Evans signed a 2-year, $50 million extension today, March 4th.
So he's exactly what he wanted.
He got the bag.
I was not hoping for that. I was really, in the few spots I've got Chris Godwin, I was really hoping he would be a 1. So that's great.
I know you kept texting me over the past couple weeks, you're like, man, I really hope Chris Godwin gets his opportunity when Mike Evans leaves.
I mean, Chris Godwin, really, everywhere I have him, I've only got him in like 2 leagues. He doesn't even start for me, but like he's on the bench, and it's kind of like, I know he's good. He's got a decent floor, but I never play him, so I was like, hopefully he pops into something. But he's going to be the same as he has been the past few years.
Yeah. I guess it comes down to like if they retain Baker Mayfield, which I imagine they will. They're probably going to give him a bag too. And then, I don't know. I don't even know if that means he's going to be good because Dave Canales left, the offensive coordinator left to be the coach of the Panthers. And I'm really curious. I know they've got great weapons and the offensive line is okay and you've got Rachaad White. But like, I'm just very curious to see if they bring back Baker Mayfield, is it the same? Like, is it still a good offense? Or do they take a major step back and then we go, oh, it's Baker Mayfield sucks
There's
again.
The Baker we know.
Right. I have no idea.
Yeah. I know I don't want Baker in Atlanta, which he's
I
been
saw that
rumored there.
report.
Yeah.
Yikes.
No, I do not want Baker.
And it's not like he's going to be getting a Geno Smith contract either. He's going to get like 4 years, $150 million or something.
Yeah, no, honestly, I would take like a Geno Smith contract. Like if that has to be the case, we have to get Baker. I'm like, okay, sure, give him $20 million and that'll be the end of it. No, I don't. I'm not paying him 50. I don't. I'll be honest. I don't want to pay Kirk Cousins 50. And
I would feel
apparently
so
that's
much
what he's
better
gonna
about.
get.
I would feel so much better about Kirk Cousins getting 50 than Baker Mayfield getting 40.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't want Kirk Cousins either.
He might be honestly the best option that you end up with.
I know
short
that,
of
but
drafting
like,
somebody, but
like, think about it this way. You know what Kirk Cousins is. And like if you go and you pay Kirk Cousins $40-50 million, you're signing on to never win a Super Bowl. Kirk's
Most
not going to win a
likely.
Super Bowl. You know that. Versus if you go get a rookie, if you go get a Justin Fields who never got a fair shake, will you win a Super Bowl with one of them? Probably not. But you don't know. And they're a lot cheaper.
that's fair. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. Matt Ryan was never a guy that you were like, yeah, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And then he had that breakthrough year where he wins an MVP. Everything seems to break right offensively, and you wind up in the Super Bowl. And obviously it didn't work out, but
Kyle Shanahan,
I don't know.
Julio Jones.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, no, Julio does help. And maybe you make that up in the aggregate with Pitts, with Drake London, with Bijan. I don't know. But
Let's put this. I mean, if we got Kirk, I'm in on the Falcons' weapons. Like, very much in. Like, Drake London's probably top 15 receiver. Kyle Pitts, I mean, I know we keep saying it, but, like, if he had Kirk Cousins and Kirk treats him like T.J. Hawkinson, and he's more talented than T.J. Hawkinson, I mean, he could push top 5 at tight end, realistically.
he could.
And obviously Bijan, with any quarterback with a competent coach now, he should be fine.
Yeah. Who knows? I really have no clue. And with all these rumors about quarterbacks like J.J. McCarthy, I've seen him being rumored at like 12 and also at 3. And also some people saying he's not even a first rounder.
Do not take him over Jaden Daniels. Do not do it.
I know.
It's a
It feels
bad
like
idea.
It feels like Drake May ends up being the odd man out here where it's like, what are we doing?
Let Drake May
is
fall to
just-
Atlanta at 8. I will be so happy if we got Drake May.
It could happen. It could be the sort of situation where, I don't know, maybe the Giants decide to trade up, but they trade up for McCarthy or the Commanders fall in love with Jaden Daniels. I don't know, but maybe Drake May could be the guy that it's like, okay, maybe we overthought this one just a little bit and Drake May ends up falling.
And
I have no idea.
I mean, you and I have conversations about this over the past week. As to who we like, and I don't dislike Drake May at all, but I'm not at the most in on him. Like, I like Jaden Daniels better. I just do. But like, I'm not taking J.J. McCarthy over him. And if he falls and like Atlanta was able to trade up to get him at like 5 or 6 or something like that, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason Kelsey retired today.
feel like we heard about this like 2 months ago.
We did, and yet, what do you think I was doing while I was working this afternoon? I watched the whole freaking press conference. The whole thing.
It must be nice to work where you work, because I didn't have time to watch a press conference. I barely had time to read the story as it crossed across my phone.
I'm over here, I'm doing work, and then I see the tweets start to come in. It's like, oh, crap. And then it's, oh, okay, he's having a press conference. And I just set my phone up over here while I'm doing my thing, and he was crying the whole time. I thought the news came out after the NFC Championship that he was retiring. So this is kind of confusing to me. Well, that was the report, but it wasn't ever confirmed. And I guess
it was. So when it came across my phone today, I was like, didn't he already say that?
I think we just didn't hear it from the horse's mouth. I think that's what it really ended up being.
I think it was one of those, like, he told the teammates essentially, like, in the locker room, I'm retiring, and of course that leaked out. So everybody's like, he told his teammates he's retiring, so yeah.
And then he did. He followed through on his word.
Good job, Jason. Hopefully this destroys the tush push.
Oh.
Not that I wanted DeAndre Swift to re-sign with Philadelphia anyway, but officially get this tush push out of here.
Just for future Philadelphia running backs, whoever they may be.
Yeah. And hopefully, I trade for that person, start them against you in the playoffs, and win.
Oh, no. I do not need another Philadelphia running back.
If you've paid attention to the show in one of our main leagues twice, I have started a Philadelphia running back, be it Miles Sanders or DeAndre Swift, against Josh in the semifinals of the playoffs and beaten him.
It's just
because of that player.
It's just brutal. Especially when every year you don't expect it, and then it ends up being just enough to beat you anyway.
My team limps into the playoffs with all of its injuries, and I have to throw Miles Sanders into the lineup, and he gets me there.
Every year without fail. If I see another Philadelphia Eagles running back in the playoffs, I am running.
Whoever their running back is, I'm trading for him. I don't care what it costs. I'm trading for him.
Oh, dear Lord. I think we talked about it a little bit already. Russell Wilson getting cut.
Again, this is another one. They said they were going to do this months ago.
We knew this was happening. It's just, I guess, semantics now. They're going to eat $85 million in dead cap. That's what it ends up being.
That is a piece.
I don't think that is just this year, but over the next 2 years. Whew.
Still, they need that. What is it? The cap went up like $30 million?
Right.
Or something like that. They need every penny of that.
They really needed all they could get because they are eating it. That's got to be the worst trade in NFL history, right? I think we can say that with a level of certainty. I know there have been some real bad ones.
There's been some bad ones.
I think there was a running back trade. It might have been Ricky Williams, where maybe it was the Saints traded like 3 first-round picks for a running back, and then he didn't end up doing anything. But
that will never happen anymore. Bijan Robinson could have 2,500 yards this year. Demand a trade. You might get a first-rounder.
You might get a single first-round pick.
Maybe one.
Maybe. He'd probably get a second. I can't even remember all that Denver gave up for Russell, but it was...
Oh, it was like...
I think it was two firsts,
2 seconds, like a fifth, and Drew Lock or something.
And Noah Fant, and a D lineman, and they paid him.
Russ is getting away with this scot-free. I mean, Russ is doing great.
Oh, he's got his guarantees. He's made many hundreds of millions of dollars.
Russ could be a huge douchebag and just retire. All right, I'm done.
He doesn't need any more paychecks. I mean, he's probably made like $280 million in his career already. He is.
And he's married to Ciara.
And she's worth.
You don't need. She's worth more than he is. Probably like twice as much.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. At this point, it's just for the love of the game. Watch him go to the Steelers and replace Kenny Pickett, and then we can have an Arthur Smith, Russell Wilson tandem. Now it will just be the gift that keeps on giving.
He's either going to the Steelers or the Raiders, is what I would assume.
Oh, dear Lord. Watch him not go to Vegas just because he's a Christian.
Oh, it's Sin City over here. Where's Justin Fields going? Dude, let me tell you from a Falcon fan perspective how much of a roller coaster this draft was, because we kept expecting to hear some news about something, because they were like, the Falcons were interested in Justin Fields, the Bears are trading him, so they expect there's going to be some talks between the Falcons and the Bears at the combine, and so we were pretty much the favorite to get him or whatever, and obviously we're still in the running or whatever, but then reports coming out, they're like, yeah, we're interested in Justin Fields, but he's like our third option. Like we really want Cousins, and we prefer Baker over Fields too. I'm like, great. It's just a roller coaster. Like, oh yeah, we're definitely getting Justin Fields, and then 2 days later, like, oh no, we're not getting Justin Fields, but we're definitely getting Kirk Cousins. And then no, we don't want Kirk Cousins, or we don't want Fields. We want Baker. We're definitely getting Baker. I'm like,
You're not getting
like
Baker.
any of this.
You're not getting Baker. I can save you the headache of that. Here's what's going to happen. I think Kirk Cousins is the organization's number one priority. And so they want to feel that one out. They want to see if Minnesota will trade him, what that compensation is going to be, what the contract would have to be. Well, I guess, no, they wouldn't have to trade for him.
No, he's an unrestricted free agent.
That's right. Okay.
And I don't like how, I don't know why I just blanked on this. Their coach, McDonald.
Who, the Vikings?
Coach? Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell. I knew it was something O'Connell something. But anyway, he said they were interviewing him like he deserves or he's earned the right to test out free agency. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a team that's for sure bringing him back.
I mean, you could take it a couple different ways. I saw it too, and I kind of I totally understood what you were saying, but at the same time, I also interpreted it as he's played really, really well, and KOC was like, yeah, I mean, he's played really well and earned the opportunity to make a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's fair.
And maybe Minnesota will give him the money that he wants. I don't know.
I hope so. The Falcons just got out of cap prison. I don't want to go back in.
I mean, you're going to go, unless you draft a rookie, you're going to go back into paying a lot of money for a quarterback no matter which way you slice it. Because Justin Fields for 1 year will be cheap, but then you've got to either piss or get off the pot with Justin. So he's going to be expensive after a year.
I want to trade for a quarterback. I want to trade up. Just go get a rookie, please. Whatever it costs,
and
do it.
And it's J.J. McCarthy.
Well, we'll be down a host for this podcast. And I talk junk, but like J.J. McCarthy has like been flying up people's boards, and I guess just he does have the physical tools. He never showed them at Michigan because he never had to.
Right.
So
he's probably fine. I mean, I would much rather, being honest, I would much rather take J.J. McCarthy than I would Penix or Bo Nix.
I would too.
The way things have sort of worked out, I think a month ago, I would have probably preferred Penix, and I would have been like a coin flip on McCarthy and Nix. And just the more that I've watched him and the more that I've kind of dived into it, I've been like, okay, I would much rather have McCarthy than Penix. The ceiling is just so much higher. And then you're looking at, okay, would you rather have him than May, Daniels, or Caleb Williams? And like, no, just because those other guys I think have proven either through just their physical ability being ridiculous, i.e. Drake May, and also Drake May he's shown flashes of, oh, wow, okay, this could really, really work. And then Jaden Daniels was amazing, and Caleb Williams has been that guy for 2 years. So you can't put McCarthy over those other guys, but like I don't think it's really a bad consolation prize. And that's where these reports of him flying up boards are coming from, because I think people are realizing, okay,
he's got the physical tools.
Yeah, he's not really that far off from these other guys. And heck, if you develop him, he could end up being just as good as any of them. So, I
guess I wouldn't be super upset. Like if Atlanta gets Kirk Cousins, we sign him to like a 1 or 2 year deal. Still draft J.J. McCarthy at 8 and let him sit behind Cousins for a year. Maybe that could work. I don't know.
That could work. I don't know if that's how that will shake out, but it could work. I could see it. Combine winners and losers.
There's a few. We had this discussion for him. We need to remember how we said this, when it comes to running backs and receivers for the combine. There's a difference.
Yes. Okay, so 40 times. I think that's where we got on this. So a lot of these risers and fallers are mainly due to their 40 times. And I think the 40 is important to a certain extent, but also I think we sort of put a lot of stock into it when maybe we shouldn't. Let's put it this way, to simplify it. I think it's pretty important for running backs. I personally don't think it matters at all for wide receivers, unless you got a guy coming in there running like an offensive lineman time, and then it's like, okay, maybe we should reevaluate this. But like,
you run a 4.7 and you're a deep threat.
it's like, maybe that's not great. But like, for the most part, every receiver that was fast ran fast, and for the most part, every receiver that wasn't a speedster ran like a not speedster 40 times. So like, nothing really happened to sort of change your opinion. Maybe the only exception to the rule there is Troy Franklin ran like a mid 4.5s, but like, and I thought he had a chance to be a guy that could surprise you and run like a 4.35 or something. And he ran like
his official time is,
but that's still,
it's a 4.41.
Oh, was it? Just,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, that's great.
I take it back. Just kidding.
So I pulled up the official times just so, we could dive into that.
That's probably a good thing to have. So I don't think it matters for receivers. I think for running backs, it's pretty important. But we saw guys like Xavier Worthy break the 40-time record. And like, for me, it's like, okay, cool. He goes viral for breaking the record, but like nothing changed in his evaluation process because we knew he was fast, and then surprise, he's fast.
Our buddy Landon, who we had on for our quarterback ranking episode, he texted me when that happened. He's like, hey, did you see Xavier Worthy? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. He broke the record. He's like, I'm officially out on him for fantasy. And I don't 100% disagree.
It's the John Ross Jamison Williams curse.
Yeah, I mean, Tyreek Hill never ran the 40, so we don't know exactly what he would have run. But I imagine it's fast. But like outside of that, like his archetype just doesn't do well for fantasy. Like you got your Jamison Williams, your Henry Ruggs. Like that's your two most successful wide receivers that run like under a sub 4.25. Is those guys.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Xavier Worthy can't, but combine the fact that he runs a 4.21 with he's 165 pounds, and the light receivers, I will say, because you mentioned this before the show, like they have become more of a common thing. Like Devonta Smith weighs 170 pounds. Jordan Addison weighs like $170. Like they're small guys, but they're very successful, very good. But those guys also have a little bit different like profile, I guess, coming out. Like we knew they can run a complete route tree. They get open all over the field, that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's weird.
I'll push back a little bit because I think Xavier Worthy is a lot more like Jordan Addison and Devonta Smith. I say that, take that with a grain of salt because Devonta Smith, his production profile coming out was...
Both of those guys were better prospects than Xavier Worthy, though.
I agree, but I think Xavier Worthy is a lot more similar to Jordan Addison in that he has 3 years of really solid production. He has the best breakout age of any receiver in the class. He had 1,000 yards as a freshman. And he did it in 3 different ways all 3 years that he was in college. Like his first year, he was a deep threat when he had the 1,000 yards and like 10 touchdowns. And then he starts running over the middle of the field his sophomore year. And then this past year, they bring in Adonai Mitchell. And Adonai Mitchell starts running the red zone stuff and then running deeper routes. And they use Xavier Worthy like on screens and then closer to the line of scrimmage in like yak routes. And so it's like his profile is interesting because he never really did the same thing year over year. Whereas guys like Jordan Addison, Devonta Smith, they were primary targets for their offenses every year in college. And like Jordan Addison was force-fed in Pittsburgh. Then he goes to USC, and he's their, I guess, Z receiver because he's not really a true X. I don't know. Xavier Worthy's, he's just so interesting because he's got some stuff that it's like, okay, he could be really, really good, and he's fast. I don't know. I'm not like 100% sure about him. I think he's still good, I just don't know quite how good, and maybe he is a Tank Dell. But, like, also his profile is, I would say it's a little bit better than Tank Dell's, because Tank Dell had 1,300 yards 2 years in a row at Houston. I think it was Houston. Was that a Houston or SMU? I get those confused. It was Houston. But Houston is not the same as Texas. So, anyways, that's a long rant. But Xavier Worthy is
a long
good.
rant to say Xavier Worthy is a really polarizing prospect.
He is. You're going to find a lot of different values on him, just like you're going to find a lot of different values on all kinds of guys here. But yeah, some of the winners. Roma Dunze, Brian Thomas, Trey Benson, MarShawn Lloyd. Ladd McConkey ran a 4.39. That was wild.
That surprised me. Ladd McConkey picked up like a ton of steam at the Senior Bowl when people were watching him just cook people. And we thought it was like, oh, he's just a good route runner like a Cooper Kupp. Oh my gosh, he's a burner.
Everybody was comparing him to Cooper Kupp, and then he goes out and runs like that, and it's like, I can't. Cooper Kupp is a slot receiver.
Cooper Kupp runs like a 4.6.
Yeah. And Ladd McConkey is closer to a Garrett Wilson type profile, and I know that was overplayed over the weekend, but like that type of profile is a lot more what Ladd McConkey is as a prospect than Cooper Kupp, who was maybe an overachiever at a lower level of football and turned into an amazing slot receiver at the next level.
Which you could use Cooper Kupp too as another one of those, like the 40 time doesn't matter.
Right.
Because
clearly.
I think we said this for the show. I do think that Odunze and Brian Thomas really helped their prospects, because, I mean, Brian Thomas ran a 4.33. I knew he was fast. That's really fast. And Roma Dunzo ran a 4.45, which is really good. I was expecting him to be like a mid 4.5 guy. But at the same time, we said this before the show too, this changes nothing, in my opinion, for where they were. Rome ran faster than I thought. Brian Thomas ran faster than I thought. And both of them are still my wide receiver 3 and 4. And they would have been my wide receiver 3 and 4. Like, if Brian Thomas had ran a 4.5, I don't care. He's my wide receiver 4. If Roma Dunze had run like a 4.55 or a 4.6 even, he's still my wide receiver 3. He's just a little bit better than I thought he was.
Yeah, and I think Brian Thomas running his 4.33, it just sort of, I had thought this in my head, but it really cemented it. He's DK Metcalf to me.
He's a beast.
Freak of nature, huge human that runs very, very fast, and was just an incredible deep threat opposite another really good receiver in college. Remember, A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf both played at Ole Miss at the same time. Both obviously turned into what they turned into. And you've got Neighbors and Brian Thomas opposite one another at LSU. Very similar situation. Like, it's almost eerie how similar it is. Yeah, that was exciting to see. There's a lot of good. There's so many good receivers.
I mean,
so many.
I know we talked about Xavier Leggett a couple of weeks ago, just in reference to, like, you know, his breakout age, but, you know, Gamecock. I'm obviously a Gamecock fan, so I'm a little bit higher on him probably than consensus, but I get the concerns. But, like, he helped himself out a lot. Like, he had 40-inch vertical leap, ran a 4.39. Like, we knew he was going to be a height, weight, speed freak. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", can run that, do that. But, I mean, then you got Troy Franklin running a 4.4 or almost 4.4 flat. I mean, it's just a loaded receiver class, man. I don't know what else to say about it.
It really is. A couple losers here. We've got Keon Coleman. He ran a 4.6 in the 40. But again,
not a super loser. I mean,
no.
I was just hoping he would be faster. I mean, like I said, the 40, it did, not for our rankings, but it did bump, like, Brian Thomas and Roma Dunze's, like, overall draft stock up.
Right.
But Keon Coleman's came down a little.
A little. But then, like, he goes and runs the fastest, like, speed in the gauntlet drill of any receiver. So, like, how much stock do you really put in that 40? Plus, I mean, you've got JSN, so many good receivers.
JSN ran a 4.5 last year.
Yeah,
not at the combine, but at his pro day, he ran a 4.5. But, like, his 3-cone drill and all those, like, quickness tests, like, he was off the charts with those. So, like, it's not a representative stat, I guess.
Here was my pushback on Keon Coleman. I'm just pulling up a tweet. Here are some players and their 40 times, and then you can be the judge of what to do with this information. But DeAndre Hopkins ran a 4.57. Cooper Kupp ran a 4.62. Devontae Adams ran a 4.57. Larry Fitzgerald ran a 4.63. Anquan Bolden ran a 4.71. AJ Green 4.62.
Anquan's slow.
Super slow. Brandon Marshall 4.52. Chad Johnson 4.57. Antonio Brown 4.56. Keon Coleman ran a 4.64. So, like, obviously a 4.64 is not incredible, but that does not mean that he can't be a great receiver.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, I put Keon Coleman's name on here, but I'm not really, like, up or down on him more than I was. Twitter lost their mind. Like, oh, my God, Keon Coleman ran a 4.63.
Yeah.
He's trash.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Calm down.
He's not a running back.
I'm
it doesn't
not
matter.
super in on Keon Coleman, but I'm not super out on him either. I'm just kind of in the middle.
Yeah. On the flip side, Audric Estime ran a 4.71.
Nope. We say all that, and like we're talking about 40 times for receivers, and it changes nothing of our view. It changes so much on our views of running backs, though.
It does, because historically, if you were to go and just pull a sample of the top 12 running backs last year, I think I saw this tweeted actually, where it was 9 of the top 12 running backs from this past season ran like a 4.5 or better. So like,
I mean, Breece Hall runs a 4.3. Jonathan Taylor runs a 4.3. Bijan runs like a 4.5 or 4.45. Gibbs runs a 4.3. Christian McCaffrey ran a 4.4. Do I need to keep going? Like, all of these guys are 4.4 or better.
Right. Whereas with receivers, it's kind of like half of them run a 4.4 or better, and then half of them run above a 4.4. So it doesn't matter for them, but for running backs, it tends to correlate much better. So when Estime goes out and runs a 4.7, it's like, it's not great.
He's just a beat stick, but he's going to be a change of pace guy.
Most likely. But we said the same thing about Kyron Williams, who ran like a 4.65, and then obviously he turned into what he turned into. So it's not prohibitive, but it is more often than not.
But I'll also say this for Kyron Williams. He was also like a 5th or 6th round pick, which means there's no team investment. So as much as you may like Kyron Williams for Dynasty, he could disappear after next year and be gone.
That is the other thing that we don't talk about as much when we bring up Kyron Williams as but Estime still could be good. Kyron Williams was a 6th round pick or a 5th round pick or something. So his draft stock went in the toilet, and it took sort of outstanding circumstances for him to get a shot.
He was great this year, and he still has a starting job, but you got him off waivers, guys. Like, it wasn't like people were expecting this.
Right. No, that's true. So, yeah, Estime did not do himself any favors. Bucky Irving was supposed to be fast and then ran a 4.5, so that was not great.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I screenshot it. You and I both sent it to each other, the speed scores, and Bucky Irving was just way down there, dude.
I really thought he would be fast. He's super shifty on tape and, like, great lateral quickness. And obviously lateral quickness is not breakaway speed. They're two different skills. But still, you want a guy that is seen as a shifty, make you miss kind of player. You want that player to also have breakaway speed, especially when Bucky Irving's not especially big. I think he weighed in at like 190 at the combine.
I didn't know he was that small.
Yeah, not ideal size, not ideal speed. If you're going to have a lighter guy, he needs to be very fast, and he wasn't super fast. So that's not great.
On the flip side, Trey Benson and MarShawn Lloyd, I think, just shot up their draft stock as far as running backs go. I did not think MarShawn Lloyd would run a 4.4, but he did.
It was awesome.
And Trey Benson ran a 4.39. They're my 1 and 2 right now. I don't know about you. I know you like Jonathan Brooks, but coming off an ACL with what MarShawn Lloyd and Trey Benson just did at the combine, they're my 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably talk more about it as the offseason goes on, but Trey Benson definitely made a pretty good argument in terms of all the measurable thresholds you want to hit.
Pretty sure that is the same 40 time of Breece Hall as a 4.39.
It is. Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall both ran 4.39s. I'm pretty sure Jonathan Taylor also ran a 4.39. It's a very good company to be in. Trey Benson, like height, weight, speed, production for the most part. He hits all of those thresholds you want him to hit. Jonathan Brooks, to me, was just better. And Jonathan Brooks was, I think, 5'11", 216 as well. He's the same size as Trey Benson. Obviously, we can't see him test because he's coming off the ACL. So draft capital will be very important with Jonathan Brooks. He just, to me, watching back film, was clear best player in the class, but obviously he's got the ACL. So, like, if he doesn't get drafted until the 5th round, that makes things really, really difficult. But I don't know. We'll see. That'll be a what happens after the draft sort of deal. If Trey Benson goes in the 2nd round, that's really tough to ignore. MarShawn Lloyd earned himself a lot of money, too, with that 40 time. So,
yeah,
he's
a little bit older. He stayed 4 years in college. But, I mean, there's a reason this dude was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. He tore his ACL his freshman year. Never really got a fair shake at South Carolina. Played on some really bad offenses. Goes to Southern Cal. And obviously shines really well. And he showed he can catch the ball at Southern Cal. So
right.
He's a
and
complete
he's a tank.
He is a big dude, and he is a complete back.
Yeah.
I saw him. I mean, obviously it's just comps, but somebody when I was watching the combine like comped into DeAndre Swift. So, I love that.
You just had to shoehorn DeAndre Swift in there
I
somewhere.
love that.
Oh man.
But I mean, he is built like DeAndre Swift. I mean, we forget that DeAndre Swift's a pretty compact guy. Like they're both about 5'9", about 215, 220, and they run the same 40. Like they have a very similar skill set. So,
yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. We've also got a 3-round rookie mock. Should we hop into the mock?
Yes, we've talked about a lot of names, a lot of winners and losers. Let's see where they fall in.
Let's see how this goes. So
the inaugural mock draft of the 2024 offseason.
Indeed. So we have pulled this from one of our own leagues. And in fact, Ben, since you happen to have the 101 in this league,
I have the 102 in this league as well.
Oh, do you really?
I went all in this year and sold the farm. I've got nothing outside of Justin Herbert. I mean, I got a couple decent players, but it's going to be a multi-year rebuild for me in this league.
Well, you're well on your way because you got the 101 and 102.
I'm going to add
we'll go
this
every other here.
To Justin Herbert, Justin Jefferson, guys like that are still on the team, but that's about it.
It's a 12-team 3-round mock. SuperFlex PPR, I think, is the setup here. So we'll let you lead us off here, Ben. I'll be making the picks, but you can tell me who you want to pick here. You've got the 101. You're on the clock. Where do you want to go?
I think it's not a difficult decision here. Obviously, we don't know landing spots yet, but Caleb Williams is going to be the top quarterback taken. He's the top prospect. We've known about Caleb Williams for a long time. It's a SuperFlex league. I think it's like 6 points per passing touchdown, too, so that bumps up quarterbacks a little bit even more. So Caleb Williams next.
I love it. At 102, obviously you could take some of these other quarterbacks here, but I think there is a clear player that you just can't ignore. You can't ignore Marvin Harrison sitting there at 2. So I would prefer him over Drake May and Jaden Daniels.
I'm very excited to have the 101 and 102 and take Caleb and Marvin and just got him.
That's very nice.
It's exciting.
I won't lie. It is very nice. Where would you go at 3?
At 3, I'm going with Jaden Daniels. I know he could end up with the Patriots, but I think Jaden Daniels he's shooting up boards as well. I mean, the talent, he's a super polished passer. Yeah, super polished passer.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Tongue got tied there, but he's a super polished passer, and the rushing ability is obviously off the charts. He needs to not play like Josh Allen and try to get himself killed every play, but if he does that, there's a realistic shot. I feel like he could be better for fantasy than Caleb Williams. I really do.
Absolutely. Yeah, with that rushing upside, there's always a chance that
And
a
not that
player
Caleb-
like that.
Caleb has rushing upside, but not like Jaden Daniels.
Caleb has rushing upside in that he gives you a safe floor with rushing. Jaden Daniels is like a potentially lethal weapon as a rusher, which is just a different kind of thing altogether.
Do not be surprised if he is a better fantasy quarterback than Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I mean, especially their rookie years, I would not be surprised in the least if year one, Jaden Daniels is a better fantasy player. But then maybe as Caleb Williams sort of settles in, he could end up, becoming a top 5, top 3 guy. But yeah, Daniels is really good, especially when you factor in for fantasy football. At 4, you've still got Drake May, Malik Neighbors on the board. And I think
That's a tough one to me.
it is really tough. I think it's that decision right there, Drake May or Malik Neighbors, is going to be a really interesting decision a lot of people are going to have to make. I do think, though, that the guy I would rather have is Malik Neighbors.
I agree, honestly.
I think he is incredible. Like, he might be the 1B to Marvin Harrison's 1A. Like, there is
it's
not
not
a clear separation between the two of them.
No, there is not.
And honestly, Roma Dunze might be like 1C. Like, I don't even know if there's a huge gap between him and the other two. So,
I think there's a little bit of a dip between him and Neighbors. Like, and maybe we're dead wrong, but Neighbors is different. He's
insane.
Yeah.
He's insane. Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to, like, I could see New York taking him unless they go for a quarterback, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did that either. He's going to go really high.
Chargers are there at 5.
Yeah.
LA,
yeah.
do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Do
That
it.
would be terrifying. I feel like they're going to take Brock Bowers. I feel like it's going to happen, but I would not complain at all if they took Malik Neighbors.
If you're going to
there
take
at
Brock
5.
Bowers, though, I feel like they should trade back.
That's probably true. Yeah, you could probably get him later. 105, where would you go?
I feel like there's kind of a decision here, too, more than other people may disagree. But Drake May is probably the right answer. I'll take Drake.
Yeah, it probably is. He's going to fall, I think, in a lot of these drafts. Like, somebody's probably going to fall in love with J.J. McCarthy and want to take him. I could just see Drake May, even in Superflex drafts, falling to like the 105, 106 consistently and somebody getting a steal.
Yeah.
Kind of like how C.J. Stroud was last year. That feels like what Drake
I saw
May's gonna
C.J.
end up
Stroud
being.
go at like the 107, 108 sometimes.
That's insanity.
Those people are feeling very good right now.
Very, very good. At the 106, you've got Brock Bowers and Roma Dunze still on the board. Of those two, I think maybe because I've been burned so badly recent years, I would just take Odunze.
Yeah, I agree. I'd definitely be going to Dunze there.
I'd be going the elite receiver. So that leaves you, Ben, on the board. You've got Bowers, you've got Trey Franklin, Brian Thomas. You still have Bo Nix and J.J. McCarthy on there per sleeper ADP. You've got Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy. All kinds of guys still on the board for you to take.
Yeah. I feel like Bowers is the right answer. I want to take Brian Thomas, I really do, but Brock Bowers is the right answer there, I think.
Yeah, he is. He is. I mean, we've talked about him at length. He's a great prospect, and I assume he's going to go top 10 as well. So you've got that factored in too. 108. You've got Trey Franklin.
This is where things
Brian
get
Thomas.
interesting because I feel like going into this offseason, we've known pretty much about this top 7. You know, Caleb, Marvin, Jaden, Neighbors, May, Odunze, Bowers. Everybody pretty much consensus that's your top 7.
Yeah. I think at 8, even with McCarthy and Bo Nix on the board, I would still today prefer Brian Thomas.
I would.
Like I said earlier, DK Metcalf. Like, the ceiling is very, very high for a player like this, for an archetype like this. So I think it gets really interesting when you factor in McCarthy and Troy Franklin and Keon Coleman, but I feel like Brian Thomas is a good bit ahead of those other receivers to where I'd feel very comfortable taking him over McCarthy and the potential of McCarthy going top 5 or top 10.
Yeah.
Where would you go at 9?
At 9, okay. So I kind of want to take Troy Franklin here, but if the hype really is the hype and people he ends up going, higher than we think he is, I'll take J.J. McCarthy.
Cool.
Let's just assume, I don't know, New York takes him, they like him at 6, or Atlanta takes him at 8, something like that happens.
I could definitely see it happening. It would be shocking, but it would also be shocking if he didn't go in the first, where we thought that might be the case maybe a couple weeks ago.
Even the Broncos, I've heard of them taking him at 13. So,
yeah. At 10, I would probably just go Troy Franklin. I don't have a ton of conviction, honestly, between Franklin, Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, and Adonai Mitchell. What other receivers
I
are there?
prefer Franklin for now, but we'll see where he lands.
I do too, but I think you could argue me any direction of those receivers. So I'll take Franklin right now, but tomorrow I might prefer any of the other ones. That'll put you on the clock at 11. And now you get to make the choice of Bo Nix or one of the receivers, or maybe you could take our first running back here at 111.
I don't know. I feel like you talked me into a little bit into Xavier Worthy, so I'll take him.
That might have been where I would have gone to. Oh, I don't want to see his bio. I just want to pick him, please. Thank you, Sleeper. All right, at 12, you get to stare down Keon Coleman, A.D. Mitchell. I'll go Adonai Mitchell. This is a point where I don't want to be pressed on how I feel about these guys. I would have loved to take a running back there, but Mitchell still has a very high ceiling. He ran a 4.3 at the combine, which is exciting. He could certainly be a Quentin Johnston type of guy where it's okay, he went to a nice place. He does show flashes. But I'm not convinced yet on Mitchell. Yeah. I don't know. He's the guy that I'm still undecided about how I feel about him.
Yeah.
That'll put you on the clock.
I will take a running back here. I'm going to take Trey Benson.
There you go.
I'm actually excited to see this too because I also have the 101 and 102 in this league as well, or 202, 201 and 202. So I've got the top of the first and top of the second. So this will be cool to see how this plays out.
I have no conviction about Keon Coleman as a player. I know we just did the whole thing about him.
You just talked him up.
I know. I was not talking up his skill so much as just not allowing the 40 to change how I feel about him. I didn't have convictions about him prior to him going to the combine, and that the combine didn't change how I felt about him. But I definitely was why didn't he produce more? He had 700 yards when he was at Florida State this past year, which is just I don't know. He would just disappear so much, and I don't really want that in a early receiver pick. So I'm just bypass Keon Coleman, and I'm going to take Jonathan Brooks.
There's your boy.
There's my boy. Where would you go next?
I'm going to bypass him again. I'm going to take Bo Nix.
Keon Coleman getting left for dead out here.
Yep, he's gone.
You know what? I still don't really want to take Keon Coleman, but I guess I guess is there anybody else on here that's really interesting? Here we go. We're just gonna. Here's another guy who he probably shouldn't be. There's still questions, I guess, but it's exciting. I'll go Xavier Leggett.
Yes,
over Keon Coleman.
I was gonna take Leggett.
That'll put you back on the clock. Where do you want to go next?
I'm going to take MarShawn Lloyd.
Where's he even at? There he is.
Coleman
He's way down there.
falling down the draft board.
Sleeper needs to fix their ADP here.
One of us needs to just take him here in a second.
All right. Okay. MarShawn Lloyd goes, now it's the right time. We got to take Keon Coleman. He's just sitting there by his lonesome. So that means Keon Coleman goes.
And obviously we don't
206.
know landing spots, so that'll change everything.
Yeah. Where do you want to go next?
It's weird because I gotta Sleeper's ADP is weird, so I gotta scroll way down to find guys I like. I'm gonna take Lab McConkey here.
Yeah, that would have probably been where I would have gone to, if I can find him in this
He's,
weird
way
ADP
down
situation. Yeah, way down there. I think this is probably a good time for, now that McConkey's gone, we're at the 208. Feels like good Michael Penix time.
I was thinking Penix too.
So we'll go him at the 208, which puts you back on the clock at 209.
I'll take Blake Corum. He wasn't he didn't blow anybody away, but he showed pretty good quickness, I think. Decent quickness and acceleration. So I don't love Blake Corum, but he didn't really hurt my opinion of him either at the combine.
So here's where I'll go. We'll take a little detour and go down tight end lane. Jatavian Sanders from Texas is here, and he's really intriguing. I generally am not excited about tight ends, but obviously we've seen them produce pretty well the past couple drafts. So Sanders looks like he could be definitely turning into something. So we'll get him at the 210.
Okay. Let's go with another Washington player. Let's go Jalen Polk at the 211.
Wow. See if I can find him. There we go. Jalen Polk. 212. Be honest, there's nobody left that I'm super excited about that's on the board.
I know who I'm taking next, assuming you don't take him. I doubt you will.
I'll take Braylon Allen, running back for Wisconsin. Crazy breakout age. He's got traps for days.
Back on at the 3-1.
Yeah, where do you want to go here?
I'm going to take Spencer Rattler.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. How silly of me.
How could you forget?
I know, he's your boy. We'll take Mr. 471 here. We'll go Audric Estime.
Really? I'd have taken Bucky Irving over him. What are you doing?
Bucky Irving's probably going to go after him in the draft. I don't know. I don't think either one of them have much of a future, but we'll take Estime there at the 302.
Oh, as my light dies. Excellent.
Where do you want to go at 303?
All right, we're back on. Here we go. I'll take Bucky Irving.
Okay. Let's see if I can find him here. Bucky Irving. There we go. Okay. At 304, I've heard a lot about Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky. He intrigues me. I don't know how well he will translate to the NFL, but he's kind of got that shifty sort of vibe to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. In the third round, you're taking flyers anyway, so like maybe he would be a guy who could turn into something.
Yeah. We can kind of speed through the rest of this because there's not amazing names here. I'll take the big arm guy, Joe Milton.
Okay. Yep. Definitely could be a very intriguing player.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
My light's giving out on me, so
No worries.
that's officially done.
Just darkness. I'll go Roman Wilson here at the 3-6. Team 6 here, ending up with Roma Dunze, Keon Coleman, and Roman Wilson.
Yeah,
Good on them.
Not bad. I'll take Will Shipley.
There we go. He should have been so good, and then he got beat out and wasn't fast. I don't know what happened with Will Shipley there. I don't like anybody that's left, but we'll take Devontae Walker from Carolina. I don't think he's actually a good player, but
one more name I want is Jalen Wright, Tennessee running back. He ran a 4.38. So in the third round, yeah.
How do we forget about him? He should have gone a lot higher.
Yeah.
The sleeper ADP is playing tricks on us. Yeah, Jalen Wright probably belongs in the early to mid second.
And I'll take Jaheim Bell too.
Oh, you want? Okay, yeah.
Gamecock, third round, I want him.
There
He's athletic.
311. Let's go. Where's the Combine Warrior? How about Isaac Guerrero from Louisville?
He was fast.
Speedster. Put you on the clock with the last pick in the third round. Where do you want to go with this thing?
I'm going to take Frank Gore Jr., son of a legend.
How am I going to find? Oh, there he is. Okay, he's up at the top. Good.
And go ahead and put Brendan Rice at the 4-1.
Oh, my word.
2 legends back to back.
See if I can find him. There we go. Brendan Rice.
All right. I don't feel the need to keep going unless you do.
No, that's enough.
Yeah, we got it. We got it covered, boys.
Oh, man. That's a fun little exercise because I still don't know how I feel about many of these players, and doing that exercise and kind of having to test my opinions on them. It's fun. I don't know how this will shake out either once we get actual draft capital and things like that.
Yeah, no. This is pre-draft, so much of this will change. After I feel like the top 7 is more or less locked in, but after that, pretty much anybody can jump into that 8 spot. J.J. McCarthy could be there. Troy Franklin could get there. I mean, heck, even Xavier Worthy, I don't know, say he goes to the Bills or the Chiefs or something like that. He could jump up there. Trey Benson, if he goes in the second rounds to a good landing spot, he could jump there. Jonathan Brooks, there's so many guys that from pick 8 to about the 2-5 could shake up anywhere, I feel like.
Yeah, and especially in SuperFlex leagues, I think I will feel genuinely excited to take anybody up until probably the 211.
Yeah.
So I would be loading up on early to mid second round picks.
Yeah, this is a deep draft.
I would even trade back. If I had a late first, I would try and trade back, maybe get a future first, a 25 first, where I might add there's a bunch of running backs that look awesome for 2025. Get a 25 first and then add a 24 second for your 24 first and just see maybe somebody gets really excited about a player and see if you can add some future capital.
Just take a shot.
Take your shots. Anything else you want to add before we hop out of here?
Nope. This was fun. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah,
we'll be post free agency next time we record.
Oh man.
Or I guess during free agency.
Yeah, we'll be during tampering period, so we won't know anything, but everything will be happening behind the scenes.
Well, we might know some things. We'll see.
Maybe we'll know where Justin Fields is.
I just want to know who Atlanta's quarterback will be. That's all I want. Is that too much to ask?
Mayfield. It'll be Baker. I'm convinced.
I'm not turning the light back on if that's the case.
Permanently.
Just look at this shadow right here.
Oh man. Thank you everybody for listening, for checking us out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you all next week.